If the 2026 Dodge Viper actually exists, then forget everything you think you know about modern performance cars, because this name alone is a threat. The Viper isn't a badge you casually revive. It's not nostalgia bait. It's not a marketing exercise. The Viper is the car that never cared if you were ready for it. It didn't hold your hand. It didn't apologize. And it absolutely didn't try to be friendly. So if Dodge dares to bring the Viper back in 2026, the real question isn't how fast it is. The question is whether the world is tough enough to handle it again. The Dodge Viper was never built to win popularity contests. From day one, it was a middle finger to refinement. Massive engine, absurd proportions, minimal driver aids, and a reputation that scared people who didn't respect it. The Viper wasn't about balance. It was about brutality. That's why it became a legend. And that's why reviving it is one of the riskiest moves Dodge could make. Because here's the truth, you can't make a safe Viper. The moment you do, it stops being a Viper. If the 2026 Dodge Viper exists, its design has one job: look dangerous standing still. The Viper has always been more animal than machine, and that has to come through instantly. Long hood, short rear, a stance so wide it looks like it's clawing at the pavement. This car shouldn't look aerodynamic in a pretty way. It should look violent. The front end would need to feel predatory, not futuristic for the sake of it. Sharp lighting, aggressive intakes, and a nose that looks like it's inhaling the road. The Viper has never been about elegance. It's about intimidation. If you see it in your mirror, you should feel pressure, not admiration. From the side, the proportions matter more than details. The Viper has always been defined by excess. Too much hood, too much tire, too much engine for any reasonable person. That imbalance is the point. Any attempt to soften that silhouette would be a betrayal of the name. At the rear, the Viper should still look raw and mechanical. Not clean, not delicate, muscular, exposed, and unapologetic. This is not a car that hides its aggression. It wears it openly. Inside is where most modern revivals fail, and where the Viper absolutely cannot afford to lose its identity. The cabin should feel like a cockpit, not a lounge. Driver-focused, purpose-built, everything angled toward the person behind the wheel. This is not a car designed for multitasking. It's designed for commitment. That doesn't mean it has to be primitive. It means it has to be honest. Materials should feel solid and functional, not flashy. Controls should feel mechanical, deliberate, and weighty. The seating position should remind you that you're sitting low, behind a long hood, in control of something that demands respect. Visibility has never been the Viper's strength, and that's fine. You don't buy a Viper to relax. You buy it to feel alive. But in a modern context, Dodge would need to strike a careful balance. Enough usability to make ownership realistic, without diluting the intensity that defines the experience. Technology, if present, should serve performance, not distract from it. Digital displays are fine if they provide useful data. Infotainment is fine if it stays out of the way. The Viper should never feel like it's asking for your attention. It should be commanding it. Now let's talk about the part that actually matters. The reason the Viper exists at all. The driving experience. The Viper has always been about torque, violence, and immediacy. You don't ease into it. You don't gently explore its limits. You respect it, or it teaches you a lesson. That philosophy cannot change in 2026, regardless of regulations or trends. Power delivery in a Viper should feel overwhelming in the best way. Not chaotic, but relentless. When you press the throttle, the response should be instant and physical. You should feel it in your chest, not just see it on a screen. This is not about chasing numbers. It's about sensation. Handling in a Viper has never been forgiving, and that's exactly why it's revered. It rewards precision and punishes arrogance. Steering should be heavy, communicative, and brutally honest. The chassis should feel planted but demanding. This is a car that asks you to be present every second you're driving it. The suspension shouldn't be soft. It shouldn't be comfortable in the traditional sense. It should be controlled, predictable, and tuned for drivers who understand weight transfer and grip. A Viper that prioritizes comfort over feedback is no longer a Viper. Sound is non-negotiable. The Viper's voice has always been part of its identity. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't hum. It roars. Whether achieved through traditional engineering or modern solutions, the Viper must sound alive. Silence would kill the soul of this car faster than anything else. On the highway, a 2026 Viper could be more stable and composed than its predecessors without losing character. Refinement doesn't have to mean softness. It means confidence. The car should feel locked in, unshakable, and always ready to explode forward when asked. Safety is where things get controversial, and honestly, that's unavoidable. Modern expectations demand certain systems. But the Viper should never feel like it's second-guessing the driver. Assistance systems should exist quietly, only intervening when absolutely necessary. This is not a car that should constantly beep, vibrate, or warn you about yourself. The Viper has always been about responsibility. You take control, or you accept the consequences. That philosophy is uncomfortable in a modern automotive landscape, and that's exactly why the Viper matters. So who would a 2026 Dodge Viper actually be for? Not casual buyers. Not commuters. Not people looking for validation. This car would be for purists. For drivers who want something real in a world that's increasingly artificial. For people who don't want their car to think for them. It would also be a statement from Dodge. A declaration that performance isn't dead, and that not every car needs to be softened to survive. The Viper wouldn't need to sell in massive numbers. Its value would come from what it represents. And let's be honest, a modern Viper would be controversial. Some would call it irresponsible. Others would say it doesn't belong in 2026. And those criticisms would completely miss the point. The Viper has never belonged to its time. It exists outside of trends. That's why it's legendary. If Dodge brings back the Viper and tries to make everyone happy, it will fail. If it leans into what made the Viper feared, respected, and unforgettable, it could become one of the most important performance cars of the decade. The 2026 Dodge Viper, if it exists, shouldn't be safe. It shouldn't be polite. It shouldn't be easy. It should be a reminder that driving can still be raw, demanding, and thrilling. And in a world full of cars that try not to offend anyone, that kind of honesty would be terrifying. Which is exactly what the Viper has always been.